Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm your friend Arman. So today in this video we're gonna learn the last topic of law of tort, that is remedies. Okay, so today's topic is remedies. So this is the last topic under the law of tort, and this is the last video of me on this under law of tort. So today we're gonna learn about the remedies. Okay, so what, like, when the person commits a tort, the question of liability arises. So liability arises on the part of the defendant, and for the plaintiff there will be question arise the remedies. What are the remedies the plaintiff will get? So we will discuss in this video about that in detail. So do watch this video till the end, and this video might be little lengthy, so do not skip this video in between, otherwise many things will be untouched. Okay, so yeah, let's start today's topic. So there are two type of remedies. Number one, judicial remedy, and number two, extrajudicial remedy. Extrajudicial remedy. So let's understand what is judicial remedy and what is extrajudicial remedy. So judicial remedies are those remedies which the court grants for the benefit of the, or for the to compensate the victims, I mean the plaintiff. Okay, the judicial remedies are given by the court under a suit. Okay, and extrajudicial remedies are those which the plaintiff does by his own. Okay, so we will discuss one by one. Okay, so let's start with judicial remedy first. So under judicial remedy there are total four types of remedies. Okay, so number one is that damages. Number one is damages, and number two is compensation under Fatal Accident Act, okay, 1855 under section 1A. okay, and number three, injunction under section 37 Specific Relief Act. Okay, and the number fourth is specific restitution of property. Okay, so these are total four kind of judicial remedies the plaintiff will have. Okay, so out of them the plaintiff can claim any one of them, okay, or two also. So let's look at one by one. Okay, so number one judicial remedy is damages. Okay, so damages means a compensation. Okay, so there are total 6 kind of damages. Okay, so number one damages is nominal damage. Nominal damages. Okay, so this is the number one, this is the one kind of damages, okay, under the judicial remedy. Okay, so what is nominal damage? So under this nominal damage, the amount of compensation given to the plaintiff is say 1 or 2 rupees. Okay, say 1 or 2 rupees. Okay, because in this case what happened, like when the nominal damage is granted the situations are like when the right of the plaintiff is violated. Okay, there is a violation there is a violation of right, but the plaintiff does not suffer any loss. Okay, when the plaintiff does not suffer any loss. So in this case, the court only wanted what the court wanted is, court just wanted to establish the right of the plaintiff, that's all. Okay, so as we have seen in the case of Bhim Singh versus State of Rajasthan, SB versus White, yeah. So in the case of the SB versus White, we have seen like the right of the plaintiff's right to vote was denied by the returning officer, though the person who wanted to whom he wanted to vote still win the election without his vote also, so he doesn't suffer any loss out of that. Okay, so that is that kind of in certain situations, in that kind of situation, the court grants a damages, and such damages will be known as nominal damages. The amount of compensation is really very less, very nominal, and the court is just court, the motive behind such suit is just to establish that the right has been violated. Okay, so we can link this with the maxim as we have discussed in the very initial classes, that is injuria sine damno. That means there is a violation of legal right without damage. Okay, so in case of the injuria sine damno, the court will grant the nominal damages. Okay, the amount is very less. Okay, so this was the number one damage, that is nominal damage. And another is contemptuous damage. So this is number 2. So contemptuous damage, so this is another kind. Okay, so what is contemptuous damage is that the amount of compensation given under the contemptuous damage is very trifling. Okay, trifling, there is a word trifling, trifling. So the amount of compensation is very trifling. Trifling means very low. Okay, so very low means tuch. Okay, so amount of compensation is very low, because in this case, court is really reluctant. A court is reluctant to provide. Reluctant means what? Reluctant. Since you are the law of language is really difficult, really different than other literature, so that's why we always try to use the words which is really unknown or uncommon words. Okay, we should strive to use certain words. Okay, like reluctant. So reluctant means what? Not willing. Okay, not willing. So not willing, that means the court is not willing to give compensation. Okay, but still there is a violation of the right of the plaintiff, that's why the court is giving the compensation, and the amount of compensation is really trifling, which is very low. Okay, and such kind of compensation will be called as contemptuous damage. Okay, so I'll tell you the situation, in what situations the contemptuous damages are granted. Okay, suppose the A file a suit against B for the battery. Okay, that A has filed a suit against the B, that B has committed a battery against A. Okay, so here, but we know once the the written statement WS filed by the defendant, then the court sees that the battery was caused because of the provocation from the side of the plaintiff. Okay, the plaintiff has uttered certain sentences, certain words which is really provocative, which can aggravate any person. So in that situation, the court will give the contemptuous damage, though his right is being violated, because like the moment he committed the battery, his right is being violated. Okay, so though the reason behind the battery was the provocative sentences, provocative words by the plaintiff. Okay, so though he has suffered injury, but his injury is because of his own words. Okay, so in certain situations, damages granted is a very trifling amount, and such damages will be known as contemptuous damage. Okay, I hope it is clear to you now. And now we'll see third, compensatory damage. And this is the one of the most common damages granted to the plaintiff for the wrong he has suffered. Okay, so it is a compensatory. The motive behind the damages is to compensate, to make good to the loss suffered by the plaintiff. Okay, so the amount of compensation, the amount given under the compensatory damages is equal to the loss suffered by the plaintiff. Okay, suppose I have lost 1000 rupees out of the wrong of the defendant, so I will be given 1000 only, exact amount of 1000 rupees to make good to the loss which I have sustained. Okay, so this is the compensatory damage. It is not so difficult. And number fourth is aggravated damage. Okay, in this case, in the case of aggravated damage, what happened when the feelings when feelings or insult is being hurt, feelings or with insult or say defamation, which caused to the person, to the plaintiff. And so in that case, the court will take into the account of the hurt, the feeling or the insult. The court will take into the account of all that, and in this case, the amount of compensation is more than the loss. Okay, so in this case, the amount of compensation is more than the loss suffered by the plaintiff. And so the situations are like when the personal feeling, emotions, or say defamation or insult, because of certain words, if the person suffers injury. So in that case, I mean injury in the sense of mental injury, or say social injury, like my reputation is being destructed. So those kind of like defamation, any kind of wrong. So in certain situations, the aggravated damages is granted, and the amount of compensation is more than the loss suffered by the plaintiff. Okay, so this is what the aggravated damage is. Okay, now we will see Now the number fifth point under the damages, number fifth is exemplary. Exemplary damage. So exemplary damage, that means what? Example means the court wanted to set an example to deter the further certain kind of incidents. Okay, same kind of incidents. It was happened in the Bhopal gas tragedy case, and it is also happened in the MC Mehta versus Union of India case that we have discussed in the absolute liability chapter. If you haven't watched that video, do watch that. You will find that video on my channel regarding absolute liability. I have created the playlist regarding the law of tort, and this is the last video of the law of tort. Okay, so under the exemplary damage, the court wanted to set the example to deter the same kind of incident in future, accident in future. Okay, so as happened in the MC Mehta versus Union of India, like that, you know, so to deter the further wrong. Okay, so the amount of, you know, amount given under the exemplary damage is more than the loss suffered by the plaintiff as in the case of the aggravated damage. Okay, so like that, it is very, I think, very simple. The court wanted to set an example and exemplary. Okay, simple. So this was the exemplary damage, and the last damages is prospective. Prospective damages. So what is prospective damage? And this is the last damages and last damages under the extrajudicial remedies, that is prospective damages. So the prospective damages are given in certain situations when the plaintiff, suppose, okay, so there is an accident, okay, road accident, there is a road accident. So out in the case of the road accident, whatever the loss sustained by the plaintiff because of the accident, like he has got multiple injuries, medical expenses, everything will be given by the defendant. Okay, but what if after the accident and after the treatment, if he, you know, losses his so okay, at the time of accident, his medical expenses, his injuries and everything will only be counted. Okay, will only be counted, and after that counted, and on that respect only the amount of compensation will be given to the plaintiff. Okay, but what if the plaintiff suffers an, like, you know, after the, you know, treatment or during the treatment or say during the procedure, the plaintiff suffered, you know, say, what if, you know, one part of his body got paralyzed, couldn't work further, or disability. So disability came. So in certain situations the court will provide the prospective damages, like he will have to take care of the plaintiff till he is able, till he become able, okay, or till his death. Okay, so like the damages granted will, you know, will go further. Okay, will go, keep on going for the lifelong. So those kind of damages will be called prospective damages. Okay, that is the prospective damages, that means the compensation given for the future thing. Okay, like this might happen in the future, and if it happens in the future, then you have to pay. Okay, so this is the prospective damage. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. So now we will see the another kind of judicial remedy, that is compensation under Fatal Accident Act 1855 under section 1A. Okay, so the victim also has the plaintiff also has the right, also can file a suit under the compensation under the Fatal Accident Act 1855 under section 1A. Okay, so what this act does is that it wanted to provide the compensation to the victim who undergoes a fatal accident. Okay, fatal accident. Suppose if a person is working in the organization organization or hazardous organization, and while working he suffered an injury. So in that case, in order to provide the compensation to the worker, the fatal accident was enacted. Okay, so the under section 1A, the plaintiff will have the right to file a suit for compensation under section 1A of the Fatal Accident Act. So this is also one of the judicial remedy. All right, so this is the second remedy available, and the third judicial remedy is injunction. Do you remember the case that we have discussed in the case of nuisance? Ramraj Singh versus Babulal. Dr. Ramraj Singh versus Babulal, where was the medical practitioner, and the defendant constructed a brick grinding machine just near to the hospital of the Ramraj Singh, and while brick grinding, all the dust particles came inside the hospital and created the nuisance to the plaintiff. So remember that case. So yeah, so in that case the permanent injunction was granted. Okay, so what is injunction? Injunction means to stop whatever the things is going on, to stop them, you stop then and there. Okay, so that is injunction. Okay, so there are two types of injunction: temporary and permanent. So there are two types of injunction. So temporary injunction are those kind of injunction which is for the time being, okay, which is not for perpetual period, and permanent is perpetual, which is forever. Okay, so in the case of the Dr. Ramraj Singh versus Babulal, the injunction granted was a perpetual one, the permanent injunction. And the temporary injunction is what? The temporary injunction is given for the particular time period. Okay, let's suppose so okay, let's suppose there is a fair. Okay, there is a fair. So in this area there is a fair. Okay, so there is a fair. Fair means what? Mela. So there is a what? Fair and mela. Okay, so the fair was going on, and the permission for the fair was given by the district authority. Okay, like say the district magistrate, DM has given the authority for like fair. Okay, so while conducting the fair, and there were certain factories which were running, and all the residue, or say fumes and smokes, everything comes from that factory directly to the projected towards the fair. Okay, so in that case, the fair people have requested the DM or say court to restrict him from doing his job. Okay, so the court will granted him the temporary injunction. So during the fair, that is for like 5 days. So during the 5 days, you should stop working in this plant, you should work on another plant. Okay, so and that is for temporary period. Once the fair is over, he can again conduct his business. So that kind of injunction is called temporary injunction. Okay, and the last judicial remedy is specific restitution of property. Specific restitution of property. So specific restitution of property, if you remember the case of Moheri Bibi versus Dharmadas Ghosh that you have studied in the contract law paper, then it will be very easy for you to understand. So doctrine of restitution, or the specific restitution of property. Restitution is what? So if a person who is a major person, okay, major means what? 18 plus years. Okay, so major means 18 years. So 18 years. If a major person who is being deceived by the defendant, or say or with the fraud or misrepresentation or undue influence, if anything taken from the side of the plaintiff to the defendant or to someone else, because of the influence or say any kind of like taught or say misrepresentation, fraud, deceit, malice. He was induced to deliver certain goods to the other person, and later on he realizes that whatever the thing later on he realizes that the transaction is not in his favor, not according to his will, not as per it was not willful, he was deceived by the defendant. So in that case he will ask the court, he will file the suit for restitution of the property, whatever the property is being transacted or say delivered to the other person. So the court will after looking into the matter, the court will grant him the specific restitution of the property. That means the court will ask the defendant to deliver back to the good to the real owner, to the plaintiff. So this is what the specific restitution of property. Okay, so this was the last remedy under the judicial remedy. Okay, so now we will see now there comes the extrajudicial remedy. Okay, so extrajudicial remedy. So what is extrajudicial remedy? So we have only one extrajudicial remedy, that is abatement of nuisance. Okay, abatement of nuisance, or you can say this is self-help. Okay, suppose certain, like if let's suppose, okay, there is a tree of the defendant and the branches of the tree are projected to my land, projected towards my land, and because of that I am suffering, the sunlight is not properly coming to my house. So in that case, instead of like going to the court for the expulsion of the nuisance, I can cut down those extra branches that has projected to my area, and I can abate them away. So that is the abatement of the nuisance. Okay, so it is not necessary, the court wanted to avoid the suits, okay, because the suit is a lengthy procedure, so that's why the court wanted to avoid it. Okay, so that's why, like in this case, the projection of the tree, so before going to the court, if it is possible for the plaintiff, then he can cut them off from his land. Okay, so this is what the abatement of the nuisance. So this is all about remedies under the law of tort, and I have completed the law of tort chapter, paper completely. So if you still have any doubt, queries, or if you wanted to know a few more things about the law of tort, then you can ask me, you can comment down below. I will upload the video, and or say I will see what I can do. Okay, so thank you so much for being the part of this journey, and so I have finished law of tort today. Thank you once again for watching this video, and सब्सक्राइब कीजिएगा मेरे चैनल को, एंड इफ़ यू फाइंड दिस वीडियो हेल्पफुल प्लीज़ कमेंट करके बताइएगा. द वन कमेंट that I am explaining good or I am explaining bad, that really motivates, or that really helps me to do further. So that really boosts my energy. So please do that. And if you have any queries, you can comment down below, or you can ask me on the Instagram. You can follow me. My Instagram handle is on the description box. Please find that. And thank you once again for watching this video. Have a great day, guys.